when you look at the roster, is just disrespectful to those guys. I mean, Dante, you listed out all of the names of these incredible players on both sides of the ball. And to say that they're not going to be good next year, they're not going to be in the playoffs, they're not going to be able to compete or anything because they won't have their coordinators is just disrespectful to the growth.
Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are obviously interviewing with pretty much every team that has a vacancy. And Detroit might be without two of their best play callers on offense and defense next year, which helped build, let's call it what it is. They helped build this Lions team to what they are. And Dan Campbell made the right moves on hiring these guys straight up. I mean, we've known nothing but the Lions to be a trash bag organization for since I've been alive. The only hope that they had were Herman Moore and Barry Sanders.
They said, please.
And then Matt Stafford and Calvin Johnson. And then that slowly faded. It's always like a duo. And then they just go away. But outside of that, man, will these guys, if these two dudes decide to leave,
never mind, I'll wait.
Will they be a bad team?
So before I answer that, what's crazy too, we talk about the duo and Matt Stafford being one of them. It's crazy how Detroit fans now just want to act like he didn't do shit for y'all. Anyways, I just that's something I've noted. I've seen that on Twitter. I'm like, y'all some stupid motherfuckers. Anyways, yeah, it's very clear that the Lions are going to lose both Aaron Glenn, because Aaron Glenn himself has even came out and was like, yes, I'm a defensive guy, but I'm still a head coach. You know, he's had that experience. Ben Johnson was a candidate last year, decided to come back, whether or not because of Washington denying what he wanted, allegedly.
Yeah.
At quarterback. So, you know, you are looking at the Lions absolutely losing two of their coordinators. I do think that the Lions will still be fine, just because the Bears are the Bears, like division wise, Bears are the Bears still. They're still looking for a head coach. Who knows what that's going to look like? The Vikings, they may be completely turning over a new leaf at quarterback with JJ McCarthy. Who knows what he's going to look like? The Packers, they're a good team, but, you know, you're losing Jair Alexander. Jordan Love is inconsistent. Who knows what you're going to get with Matt LaFleur? You know, it just all your receivers are injured. So, you know, can you really say, even outside of Jaden Reed, that you have a number one wide receiver? Because that's kind of split between everybody.
Right.
So you look division-wise, and, you know, you look to be in pretty good shape. And the thing is that it didn't start off hot with the Lions immediately, because Dan Campbell's first year, they get 3 wins. Then they get 9. And then they get the 14 last year and the 15 this year. So slowly and surely it's building up. This is a Dan Campbell-led team. The players will fight their ass off for Dan Campbell. You've seen the progression from day one being hired as a Lion, going through those 3 wins, to that 9-win season, to last year when they lose against the Niners in a heartbreaker. And he goes, that may have been our only shot. And you are now the number 1 seed, the first time in your franchise history. Yes, you have amazing coordinators, but even with all these injuries on your team, it has always been a next man up mentality, and that starts with the head coach. These players want to play for Dan Campbell. So yes, losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn will suck. You'll have to find good replacements for them. Maybe you won't be back to the first seed next year if you don't win the Super Bowl this year, and whenever you lose both of these guys. But the way that Dan Campbell is, the way that these players, veterans, rookies alike, fight their ass off for this dude, I think you'll see a little bit of a drop, but you're still going to see the Lions in the playoffs still being a hot and fearful team to play against.
Yeah, I'm going to just add on to that real quick. I'm going to let Khalil spit, because I really don't have a lot to say other than the way that those players are already veterans. I mean, Brian Branch and Jack Campbell and Terry Arnold's playing at a very high level right now of football. And Aiden Hutchinson is definitely going to come back and be the ultimate leader on that defense. Kirby Joseph is now breaking into his own right now and seeming to be what a great pickup for them now. And then the two-headed monster that they have with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta and Frank Ragnow and the boys up front and Penei Sewell, like those guys are going to be good for years to come. And all that it comes down to is if the front office can put the dollar signs in front of the player. Dan Campbell is going to be able to uphold the traditions and the coaching that he's been doing since he's been there. And I think with a guy like Dan, he knows what he's going to expect out of his coordinators because he already hired two good ones. And the best thing that looks for Dan Campbell is that you got your two coordinators hired to be head coaches at other places. There's no bigger compliment for a head coach than that. And any manager at any company can tell you that as well. When their employers are thriving, it not only makes them look good, but it makes other coordinators feel confident in coming to work for somebody like Dan Campbell Dan Campbell as well. So Jack Campbell, Dan Campbell's like in my head right now.
Fair.
But
well, and it was also, again, you look at the same thing with the Eagles when they lost Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. So, it's kind of the same thing. And another I guess thing to note is all of the people getting interviewed. Because let's look at, you've got Kellen Moore, who just had Saquon Barkley lead rusher. You've got Cliff Kingsbury. I was about to say Cade Klubnik, and I have no idea why. You got Cliff Kingsbury, who is waiting till after Washington is done to do interviewings, but he stated that he would like to be a head coach. And look at where he brought with the Commanders with a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
So there's a lot of guys. So you got to also hope that, or not hope, but you can also kind of bank on like maybe somebody will flop in the interview, or what happened with Ben Johnson last year may happen again this year. Aaron Glenn, I'm going to go ahead and call it now. He's going back to the Jets. He's going to be the head coach for New York. Straight up.
A lot of people are saying the Saints too, because he played there.
Yeah. Well, he also played at the Jets though.
I will say
played for both, but yeah, I think there's a lot of candidates and a lot of head coaching jobs. So I don't know. You got to bank on, I think Aaron Glenn for sure, maybe Ben Johnson, but at this rate, I think you will lose both of them.
I will say that they're probably going to promote within. I think that's what Dan Campbell would feel most comfortable with.
Probably.
And I got two guys that are on my radar for both of these, for both offense and defense, just as a prediction. I think maybe they might go out for a defensive coordinator, but I'm sorry. I think that there's one guy that's coming up in his next role, and it's Mark Brunell. I think Mark Brunell being the quarterback's coach, being there, my boy.
Oh, for the offensive coordinator?
For offensive coordinator.
I thought you were talking about Deuce Staley, and two, I thought you were going with defensive coordinator at first.
Yeah, I don't think Deuce Staley is still part of the squad.
I thought he was still part of the running backs. I could be wrong.
Deuce Staley's in Cleveland.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think Mark Brunell is the next one up because of one reason. Because he's been coaching for a long time, and he's been there with these players a good long while. And Jared Goff is doing so well at quarterback since he's been there. And also that the guy that'll bump him up into that position and get promoted is JT Barrett, who's the assistant quarterbacks coach. So it's not like
also
they
just bodes well for the players with promoting within.
Yeah.
It's a familiar face that you've been coaching with for however many years versus some random new guy that doesn't know you.
I just feel like that's a direction to go from Dan Campbell's perspective. I think that he's that type of guy, and I think the league needs to take notice of something like that. And then David Corral, who's been in the league for a long time on the defensive side, he's the outside linebackers coach. I think he may get promoted to defense coordinator, but I'm not as confident in that as I am Mark Brunell. So call it what it is, man. I think because Mark Brunell has a successor in JT Barrett, that would move Mark Brunell up into his well-deserved head coach or offensive coordinator role.
Correct.
And shout out to my boy, man. He's one of the reasons why. why I got to football, but that's neither here nor there. Khalid, what you got, man?
There's going to be news of the Jaguars interviewing him, and Dante is just going. Dante's going to look like the Shawshank Redemption poster of just, yes.
Oh, the Jaguars hiring him after?
Yeah, or like, even if it's in an interview, you're going to fall to your knees and just be like, yes.
That'd be funny if Byron Leftwich goes there and becomes a new becomes a new assistant quarterbacks coach or something. To him and Mark Brunell be on the same thing, but that's wishful thinking.
That is wishful thinking. I will be right back. Khalid, go ahead and go.
Detroit, I think, is here to stay. I think that the championship window is not just it's not just going to hinge on whether or not they can retain either of their coordinators.
Yep.
From what we've seen, Dan Campbell is a great head coach. And part of being a great head coach is nailing the hiring of your supporting cast, the other coaches. And your coordinators may arguably be two of the most important, right? Because they will generally call plays. They will be responsible generally for the scheme as well on that side of the ball and all of that. And he clearly has two of the best in the league, an offensive and defensive coordinator. And that's seen in the fact that they're both two of the top head coaching candidates this cycle. The fact that they are so highly coveted is proof that Dan Campbell has made some elite hires since he's been in Detroit. And frankly, whether he promotes someone who's already a part of the franchise, someone who's already on staff, or he goes out and gets someone else, I do believe that Dan Campbell will make the right hires in terms of scheme, in terms of culture fit, and all of that. And to say that the Lions won't be contenders next year because they're losing their two coordinators, when you look at the roster, is just disrespectful to those guys. I mean, Dante, you listed out all of the names of these incredible players on both sides of the ball. And to say that they're not going to be good next year, they're not going to be in the playoffs, they're not going to be able to compete or anything because they won't have their coordinators is just disrespectful to the growth that Jared Goff has had, disrespectful to the running back duo of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, to that offensive line that has been phenomenal, and Penei Sewell's an all-pro who can also, be used as a pass catcher. I mean, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, like Jameson Williams, and that entire defense. Not only do they have talented young guys like a Jack Campbell, like a Terrion Arnold, and even a Brian Branch, who are all playing like they're in their third, fourth, fifth years in the league, not like first or second year players. But then you also have guys who are going down like it's with injury, like most notably Aiden Hutchinson, for weeks after he got injured, right, with that nasty, horrific injury. He still led the league in total pressures. So they got a special pass rusher, arguably, maybe the second most important position on a football
And that was
roster.
a guy I was totally wrong on. I thought Aiden Hutchinson was going to be trash, bro.
Yeah, he's looking like he could be, like he's going to be a perennial defensive player of the year candidate, right? As long as he can stay healthy. And that was a freak injury.
Up there with the Myles Garrett's and TJ Watts, yeah.
Absolutely, yes. He is in that echelon of pass rusher at this point.
100%.
And so,
I mean, that one kind of stung because I was just sitting there. I was like, man, you look at what David Ojabo was doing on the other side, and you're like, how much attention
exactly
did Ojabo really give off?
Yeah, and even pros were saying like that one little move where he dips you inside, that ain't gonna work on us. And it's been working on you.
Hutchinson's been
At
making
least we
it
can
work.
hang our hat on that. Even the pros were somewhat agreeing with us.
But to say that he's not going to be as productive, he's not going to be as dangerous, as as effective as he was this past year, just because maybe Aaron Glenn leaves. Come on, man! Like you're giving all of the credit to the coordinators when the players deserve some love, right? I'm not trying to take away from anything Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn have done, right? Because look, you need to be a good coordinator to make all of these, to get the best out of your players, no matter how good they are, right? You want your coordinators to elevate your players, but I mean, the players are the ones executing, right? Also give credit to the culture Dan Campbell has set, right? To the general manager, like the front office for assembling this roster. I think there's way more to credit for Detroit's success, especially this year, than just the coordinators, right? They deserve a lot of credit. That's why they're head coaching candidates. They're going to hopefully do well wherever they go. But man, Detroit's still going to be a good team next year. And the craziest thing to me is that their defense was ravaged by injuries and they're still where they're at. But like arguably favorites in the NFC, despite all those injuries. So yeah, I think Detroit is here to stay. Their championship window, they should have a few more years in that, at least.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. I absolutely agree. I think that they're going to be in the same spot that they were this year, if not better, because they're going to want those. It's going to be the opposite. It's not going to be the new coordinators proving, that they got it. It's going to be the players proving that they can do it with whoever is the face of their prospective position group, right? And they're going to want to make them look good. And like I said, adversity kicks everything up a notch. When Aiden Hutchinson gets back, do you know how fun that's going to be to watch Terran Arnold be able to make more plays because he gets more time to do, to lock up a receiver in short yardage? You know how fun it's going to be for Aiden Hutchinson that he's going to have a good corner that's going to be able to hold his way for a little bit and make that receiver not have an open space to get open. Like all these things complement each other, and that offense is going to be fine. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are speculating that wherever Ben Johnson goes, that Hendon Hooker is going to go too, and I don't see that happening. I really don't. I think Hendon Hooker knows that his time is coming, and that what other team would you want to be around that's had so much success to take the mantle after Jared Goff? You're telling me that all I got to do is wait a year? Because that's what Jared Goff's got. He's got like one more year, and he's probably going to retire. If it's not this year that they win the Super Bowl, if it's not next year, he might be done. I just feel like Jared Goff knows when I feel like Jared Goff knows when his time is up, man.
Okay.
That's a hot take, but I just feel like he's that type of dude.
I would say maybe like a different team. I wouldn't say retire.
Nah,
how old is Jared Goff?
Hey, Hendon Hooker is that guy.
He's 30.
Yeah, but I just feel like he knows what he wants. And I don't know.
That's fair. Yeah, he's 30. Hendon Hooker's 27.
Dang, they're only 3 years apart?
Yeah. I mean, Hendon Hooker spent forever.
I mean, yeah. He had a 401k in college and a wife and 2 kids, probably. But like, my man's was getting the senior discount at his local Waffle House, bro. Like,
I stand corrected.
That's why I was like, hold on now. Especially
maybe Hendon does leave with Ben Johnson.
That's why I was like, maybe with the Raiders, you bring him there, bring in some QB competition. You don't got to worry about having like a.
You know what it is? These years have just been flying by, bro.
Yeah, that's what that's what I was saying. I was like, if Ben Johnson. Oh, sorry, hold on. Raider fans, prepare to be mad at me and get down on your knees and suck my nuts. With the Raiders and Ben Johnson, you talk about like, potentially they'll make the trade for Hendon Hooker. That way, you don't got to worry about quarterback, because guess what? It's not just quarterback, Raiders, that you need help with. You need help everywhere. So, that's a positivity. Bring Hendon Hooker in, bring in a young quarterback in like 4th or 5th. Have some QB competition, see what happens there, because Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell sure as hell ain't it. Plus Hendon Hooker throwing to Brock Bowers, that'd be pretty fun to see.
It would be, but I highly doubt that Ben Johnson goes to the Raiders. I can
already hear the comments typing now.
Bro, I mean, why wouldn't you want to go to the Bears?
No, maybe you just don't like Caleb Williams, don't want to go to a division rival.
Yeah, but Why would you?
They're interviewing Arthur Smith. That's why.
But why would you want to go to the Raiders and not know who your quarterback's going to be?
Because you get to choose.
So you can choose your quarterback.
Yeah, but
your quarterback's Caleb Williams. You go to Las Vegas, you have a premium draft pick.
You can go, who do I want?
A lot of quarterbacks at your available to choose. Granted,
or just yell at Tom Brady to suit up and get out of the booth.
But here's the thing. If you told me that I can go and coach Caleb Williams, who had a fairly good year.
Oh, no, I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying
or going to draft and prove one and choose one of these unproven guys.
No, I'm agreeing with you, and that's kind of that's the question where you just go, do I want to build straight from scratch, build my own legacy, or go with what I already have and then just go with what's already there and kind of rework and build that up? It's literally just where do you want to start, from scratch or something that's already halfway built? Not halfway, but you know. It's like when you play a video game, but you haven't played for 6 months and you boot up your old save file and you go, do I want to start from new or do I want to start wherever the hell I left off again? And I know you know that feeling.
I always start from new because I don't remember
Exactly.
Okay, you got me with that analogy.
I know I do.
Stop. Get out of my head, Charles.
No, because I know you did that with Hogwarts Legacy.
Okay. Guilty as charged.
I do the same thing too, so.